What's up, hospitalitarians? It's Kyle from HospitalityMD coming back at you with another video interview presented right here on YouTube. Before we get started, press subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and turn on notifications for our channel so you don't miss a beat and you can help us share our mission that hospitality is everyone's business. Now, today's interview is with Tejal Patel. She's the founder and CEO of Neem Hospitality and a third-generation hotelier. Hospitality is in her blood, so much so that when she was taken back from the hospital by her parents, she was brought back to a 30-room motel that her family owned and operated. This is Tejal's story of growing up in the business and now as an adult choosing hospitality even when she didn't have to anymore. Enjoy the show. Tejal, thank you so much for being on Hospitality MD. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. I've been kind of like, I don't know how long it's been. Recently, I kind of started to see a little bit more about what you were doing. And like, you're just so inspiring, like everything that you're doing right now with Neem and your the Fairfield League City that you're working on right now, and your background as well is just super, super inspiring. I listened to your show on Slick Talk with Will, which was really awesome. So just glad that we get to talk now. So why don't you start by telling us, I always ask our interviewees this question, which is, do you remember the first moment that you felt hospitality? Now, we don't even have to go talking about work experience, like just childhood memories, anything that sticks out to you?
Yeah. So the first time I remember I felt hospitality. So this was my parents' first property. So I was like a really young child. And so they operated a small independent motel and we lived out of it. And my parents did like everything 24/7, like housekeeping, desk, and all that. So whenever a guest would come to the front desk, like to say if they want to ask for like toilet paper or something, I would like go waddle in the back and I would like come and like, like that's what I would say. And then finally when I was able to walk, like I would do the same, like me and my brother, we'd like go get like soap and stuff. And like, I don't know, it just felt really, I guess I didn't understand the concept of hospitality, but from that moment, every time after that, like when I give a guest something or like I provide some sort of service, like I just feel that like that first time, if that makes sense.
Wait, so a guest would come up to the front desk and be like, I need soap, I need toilet paper, and you would be like a little like toddler basically, and you would get it for them?
Yeah, me and my brother would do that.
That is so cute. I would be, if I went to the front desk of a hotel and a baby and a toddler were there to greet me, I'd be like, this is the best service I ever received. This is awesome. There's a lot of grumpy front desk agents out there, unfortunately. So I think that would have been pretty cool for me. But that's a cool memory. Like, so basically you didn't grow up in a house. You grew up in a motel.
Yeah. For most of my life so far, I grew up in a motel. And even when we moved to like other places, like I grew up in a motel there too. After Georgia, we moved to Ohio. And so that we actually lived in a house then. And we were there for 4 years and we came back. And we've been in the greater Houston area ever since January 01. And ever since then, we were in hotels and we went from like one hotel to another. And yeah, that's, it's fun.
So this is interesting. Tell me about your, like, just your family's history in the lodging community, because I recently read a book called Life Behind the Lobby by Pawan Dhingra. Do you know that book?
Yes, I love that book. Isn't it? Did you like it?
It was one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. Like, I I love the grit and the spirit of the Gujarati Patel community for literally pioneering the lodging industry in this country. And really, it seems like, because until I read that book, the only thing I had in my mind was like, um, just like some of the stereotypes that are out there about the Indian American motel community, like, oh, sometimes you go to a hotel and it's dirty or something like that. Like, and not saying that that's accurate, just saying that's kind of what the information that's kind of out there in the general public, I feel like. So after reading the book, it just was really inspiring. And I was like, because I want to own a hotel one day. And I was like, wait a second, if they can do it, why can't, why aren't other communities doing it, or why isn't? And then as I started to read, I realized that it's a lifestyle that most people are unwilling to go through, at least probably my interpretation. So I have this background knowledge. I haven't lived it firsthand like you have. So I'm just fascinated to know about your family's history in the lodging. Now, so are you a Gujarati Patel? Number one, I'm just curious about that.
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So for those who don't know, like, maybe you could just tell them a little bit about what that exactly is and the relevance of that to the lodging industry.
Sure. So particularly, so I'm trying to like word this like in the most correct way I can.
Sure.
So 1 in 2 hotels in America, they're owned by Asian Americans, and they tend to be Gujaratis. But back when there was this huge immigration wave, like from the 60s and 70s, and especially the 80s, when Indian immigrants came to the country, particularly from Gujarat, they typically settled into doing hotels. And they were like small motels and, working their way because maybe another family member who had gotten there before them was in hotels as well. So ever since then, just the presence of Indian Americans in hotels, particularly Gujaratis, it's still alive and thriving even to this day. So and I think you asked, like, how did my parents get started?
Right. And before you say that, I actually missed that statistic. You said how many hotels? What's the percentage there?
1 in 2 hotels.
Wow. So right. Like basically the majority of the hotel industry has been pioneered by the Gujarati Patel community. So yes, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure our audience will find a lot of value in that information because it's not very well known to me, at least I don't think. So how did your family then specifically get started?
Sure. So my mom's side, her parents, after she was born, they moved to London, and they did factory work there. And then when she was 15, they moved to America. And I can't remember, no, yeah, they moved to Miami. So ever since then, they got into hotels because they had another family member. My mom then moved to Bakersfield, and her family used to run and operate and live out of what was the Bakersfield Motel. Unfortunately, sadly, it's a little bit run down now, but I actually had the opportunity to check that out, and it was just, I don't know, like so much, it was like deja vu almost. So ever since then, that's how my mom's side got into hotels. And then my father, he immigrated to the States in the mid 80s. And so same thing with him. He had an uncle who was here, and his uncle took him under his wing and, taught him like the ropes, the ins and outs of like being like a hotel operator. And then my parents got married, and the rest is history. That's how they continue their journey to hotels. And here I am trying to continue that legacy.
So they were both hoteliers, like independently, and then they met and got married, and then they continued to grow that legacy together, and then they passed it on to you, it looks like.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
So,
at least I did it willingly, though. So
right. And that's actually, interesting. I want to get into that because I kind of imagine that most people who grow up inside a motel would probably say, I don't want to do any laundry anymore. I don't want to paint rooms or do any of the stuff that goes into running and being the core group of people who operate it. So tell me just a little bit more detail about your experience as a kid, kind of growing up that way, because it's not how most kids in the US grow up. So tell me about that. And then I want to know why you actually are still doing it by choice now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I'm so thankful for my experience of just like growing up inside hotels. And so I love the idea of honestly, like when mom and dad need to go to work, they just literally have to go like 20 feet away from me. And then like, when they want to come home, they would be there. So I really love that aspect. But then at the same time though, by running the hotel by themselves, like whenever we would try to have some family time and a guest comes in, like, mom or dad has to go run to the desk, and so not that that's like heartbreaking or whatever, but I just remember that's what being in hotel ops and living and running your own place, that's what it entails. It means like you're there 24/7, no matter what, like you're doing maintenance, front desk, housekeeping, anything else you can think of, damage control. So and then when I got a little older, I was able to help my family out with housekeeping, like laundry. If housekeepers didn't show up on Saturday morning, I wasn't watching cartoons. I had to go make some rooms and strip some beds. So, and even despite that, like even up until when I went through college, I went to University of Houston. I studied hotel restaurant management. And even when I was going to school, like we were still operating a hotel, which is our Super 8. And even then, if there were some issues, I was there helping with housekeeping or helping with the front desk. And it's something for me that just never left, like that part of like, okay, this is like a family business. This is my family. This is a part of us. So just, I felt like in whatever way I could contribute, in my way to give back, like I did it. And so originally, when I went to school for hospitality, I thought I was going to be an event planner because I love planning. I thought I would go into wedding planning and all that. And then I went to an AHOA convention and I changed my mind. I said, no, I'm going to go straight into hotels first. Screw all the doing the other stuff first. I'm going to do hotels. That's it. And I guess like the reason why I stayed was because I've always loved hospitality. And I feel like that's something that I've always exhibited in anything I did. One of the things that you have said on your show is that everyone is in the hospitality business. And I always say with pride that for the last 12 years, I have been working in the hospitality industry. And I always thought like, okay, maybe I should shave a year off of that because my first job, like my first real job was actually in retail. But then, so when I heard your philosophy, I was like, wait a minute. Like, it's so true. Like if your industry or your job role is based on relationship building, providing good customer service or providing some sort of service, then that is hospitality. So I think that just having that as my foundation is why I still continue to be in this industry by choice.
Oh man, you
That
were
was
so
such a long
inspiring.
answer. I hope you guys edit that. I'm so
No, we're not editing that. I'm going to tell you that right now
oh
because that was
no.
great and so inspiring. I swear to God, like I can't help but think right now about like, okay, you went to school at University of Houston, right? That's is that the Conrad Hilton School?
Oh, Cougs, yes.
Okay, sweet. So okay, so that's like a prominent hotel school. And
Actually, there's one more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, but like
yeah,
another thing, there's one thing that I always think about when I look back at it. So when I had moved to Texas and we were living and running our Super 8, I would ride the bus to school. And I remember like I got bullied because the kids on the school bus were like, oh, you're poor, you live in a motel and whatever. And I remember I was just so upset that day. And I came home to my mom and I was like, Mom, like these kids are saying we're poor. And, I know that you guys work hard because this is like our place and stuff. And they're like, you know what? Don't worry about it. All right. People don't understand. You do what you know best. And that's all. And then I was like, okay, Mom. And the next day she went to school and she like bitched everyone out, but still that was what she says. Like, like this is what we love. This is what we do. And so like, screw what other people say. So, yeah.
wow. Thank you for cutting me off and sharing that really because like I actually got chills when you were saying that because um like you kind of were dealing with like the judgment from other people who just didn't understand what you were going through. And it's just like, imagine those people now, like if you could show them like, look at me, like I'm a GM of a hotel. I just opened this during a pandemic. Like I'm an influencer in my space. Like I'm killing the game. And like, what are you doing? You know, not that it's a competition, but like those bullies like have no legs to stand on now, you know, because you've stuck with it and you listen to your mom. You listen to her. She said, if you do what you love, just keep doing it. It doesn't matter what anybody else has to say. And you actually took that advice and now look at you. Any message for those bullies?
I hope you guys are still doing well. And I wish you health and peace. I'm just gonna take the high road on that one.
That's a good answer. I like that. Be hospitable no matter what, I guess. But that's awesome. That's a really beautiful story. So you're going to school, right, for hotel management. Like, were you one of the only students there who had this background of growing up, eating, breathing, sleeping, lodging?
When I was there, typically, so a lot of kids who have like, you know, gone second or third generation, that they decide to pursue hospitality, you know, they've gone to that program. But when I was there between 2010 and 2014, I was one of the very few kids there. But at the same time, though, I wasn't very like open about it. Like I never really like talked about it. To be honest, like I am actually painfully very shy. And so I never like, I was not really the best, most open student like amongst my classmates because I was just so like, you know, in my own bubble. So if I was, no one else really knew. And I didn't know vice versa because I didn't even try to find out.
Because you didn't find out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It's so like ironic. Like you're so shy, and you know, you were saying that you were like nervous to the podcast and everything, and it's just like you're such a badass. Like you should be like owning this like to the utmost, which you do, right? But like, you know, you're just I don't know. I feel like you have such this background where you've lived through it. Like I kind of feel like right now, like a lot of hoteliers, right, who work in hotels, they're like, yeah, you know, I had to work a double, so like I'm such a badass, like I'm a big shot hotel person, like, you know, I'm doing whatever it takes and everything. And it's like, okay, like that's cool and everything, not taking anything away from the fact that you had to work a double because somebody called off, but like when somebody says that, are you ever just like, well, I lived in a hotel and like I was 5 years old working like helping out, like it just you have such a unique perspective. Do you ever kind of put that into perspective at all?
Absolutely. And whenever I've heard that, like I've never been like, oh, well, I grew up in a hotel and I didn't get to watch cartoons on Saturday morning. You know, like I don't think of it like that because my experience is my experience and it's something that only I know. So I don't really feel like a badass when I would say something like that if I did. But whenever I did like work for other places before I worked for the family business, I always brought that perspective in that like, this is my place. This is my hotel, even though it's not. And one of the examples that I always say proudly is I used to work for the DoubleTree in downtown Houston, and I was there for about 3 years and I worked my way up into management. And, you know, there were times where, like, for example, one time housekeeping, there was some mishap in the schedule. Housekeeping wasn't there. And so then I went up and I made rooms up until 11 p.m. I was flipping rooms as guests were coming in. This was during Valentine's Day, so we were super busy.
Oh man.
I've gone and I've helped room service, you know, take up the trays from, or yeah, like drop off food, or even just like bring the empty trays back down. It's a 300-room hotel. Like it's not my job position specifically, but you know, the mindset that I had was, this is my place. This is where I work. And I'm going to do what I can to make sure that the people who are staying here are having the best possible time and they're not feeling the stress we may be feeling, you know, on the back of the house side.
So is that like, was that an interesting experience for you? Like, did you get to stay in hotels a lot growing up, or like other than the one that you were living in, did you travel a lot or not really?
No. When we traveled like to anywhere as like a family, we stayed at my dad's buddy's motel somewhere,
Nice.
because
Okay,
then
so like
you
whoever
probably
he
wouldn't
knew.
pay for it, right? Like it's just it's like a thing. Like, okay, like you got to hook up here. So that's what we did. We would like stay at like friends' places or like family members. So I would experience their hotels, which weren't that different from what I grew up in. But when I like got into like going like to conferences and stuff, that's when I got to go to like see like really cool hotels. But before then, no, not at all.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like you worked at this what compared to like a Super 8 or any of your family stuff, this is like a large box, like luxury 5-star hotel, I'm sure. Like was there a learning curve for you, or what was your thought process when you were approaching going into this like 300 room DoubleTree to work? I know you said that you took a lot of your things with you there, but was there a learning curve, or how was that for you?
My goal was to that like whatever I learned from like outside the family business, like I would bring that in. And so that property was Hilton managed. So I knew that I was going to go in and learn really great things about, like management culture. The thing about schooling is, and this is just me, I can't just learn by being in the classroom. Like I have to actually do the work in order for the material to stick with me. So I got to really learn about like offering exceptional customer service. The learning curve I had, though, was working between different departments. I'm all about working together as a team, but here in this big hotel, you had all these employees and you had banquets, you had everyone else who were working the restaurant and outlets, you had sales who were more, so everyone had all these job functions, and you don't have all these departments in like a smaller property. Even if it's like even if you go below mid scale, you don't have like, a banquets team of like 10 people. You don't have someone who's doing specifically event catering, and you have someone who's doing specifically like the sales and marketing. So that was a learning curve I had on, okay, if I'm working here in front desk, how do I make sure that everyone is working with synergy? Because the front desk is kind of it's the heart of the hotel.
Yeah, definitely. So did you find that it was like you were struggling to like stay put at your like location because you just wanted to be everywhere, doing everything, learning everything? Or did you find that it wasn't that you were like so much wanting to help everybody out, but that it was so much like, what can we do to try and bring that same synergy that you had working with your family to like a larger hotel?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So like, was it so much that you felt like, okay, I feel like I want to go and help banquets, I want to go here, I want to go there? Like, did you feel like you couldn't like be still at the front desk, or did you feel like, no, I can stay here at the front desk, but I wanted to bring that same synergy that it was working with your family to
Yeah.
that big hotel?
Yeah, same, like the latter. I wanted to bring like the way that I'd worked with the family hotel, I wanted to bring that here. So I never had like, I would never get antsy about like staying in one place, like when I would come and do my shift. But when I saw that if there was another department that was really like short staffed or something, then I would do what I can to help. I would do it like, my priority is what I'm doing right now. But if I'm able to like assist someone like with like the room service stuff, or helping guests get to like their event room, then I would definitely do that. But I wouldn't be, it's not like every single time I would go like, okay, what can I do? Like a, like a squirrel.
For sure, for sure. So what do you like better? You're doing the Fairfield right now, and you've done full service, larger box, you've done economy, you've done basically, is there any segment that you haven't worked in, maybe besides 5-star?
I have not worked in like boutique hotels, which I think would have been really fun to do. But that's why one day I'll develop one. So
Yes. Yeah, you totally will. You totally will. What's your favorite right now out of the ones that you've worked in, and why?
my favorite hotels I've worked in, God, this is gonna sound really bad, but DoubleTree. I love my Fairfield. I
Why
love
is
it.
that?
But I'm not like, I do like the marketing and stuff like that, mostly for Fairfield, but I love DoubleTree because I loved our team, especially. I love like our front office team as well. Like the culture that we had was like amazing. And it was just like a lot of fun and like the stories. So like, it's not like, that's when I miss operations a little bit. Like after a while, I got tired of ops, and so that's why I decided to leave. But just the camaraderie, just meeting all these different types of people from all over, because we were in downtown. So we had clients from all over who would come in and just meeting everyone. Yeah, that's really what I miss. I miss all my old coworkers.
Yeah, it's like it's unlike anything else when you have a property and a team that you like you just work together. It's like you did it with your family, but like did you feel like you developed another family at the hotel a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. Like we were like when I can't really say like how it was before I got there, but like just when I got there, I think like it was just like we just became such a like cool, close family. Like we did a thing where we started celebrating people's birthdays, and I started that. It was my coworker's birthday, and I brought like a cake for him, and we all saying happy birthday, and he was like very shocked and surprised. And so that's something that we continue to do after that, is like do our own little like front office birthday celebration. We did like, we would even do like our own little like hangouts and stuff, like happy hours, like post work. And it wasn't just like, okay, these are people I'm working with. This is like family.
That's really, really awesome. That's really, really cool. So you are GM now, right? At the new Fairfield League City.
I'm marketing manager.
Marketing manager. Okay, got it. So, I didn't even actually, that's interesting because I didn't know, like, do Fairfields typically have a position for that, or is this something that's more unique to your property?
It's more unique to our property. So let me see if I can give some background on this.
Yeah.
So this was about a year ago. And my uncle approached me and he said, hey, like we're looking to open the hotel, hopefully end of May. Like you want to come on as an opening manager. So I was, and help with all the pre-opening stuff. I was like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? I'll do it. And I was super excited for this property because this was the first property that was going to be like, my family was going to be in a Marriott, So I was super excited. I was like, oh my God, Marriott, like it's so hard to get into one. And here we are, So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. No problem. And then, so I did a lot of like community outreach and stuff like that. I handled a lot of the social media. And then after the hotel opened, my aunt said, hey, like, can you stay on and like continue like marketing and stuff? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So we do have someone like, I told you earlier before we got on the call that we're on such like a skeleton staff. And so typically like a GM does like every single thing, right? Sales, marketing, you name it. And so we figured out this way where I can just continue doing like the marketing, the social outreach and stuff like that, or community outreach. And then our GM can still work on sales and like getting the rooms going and stuff. And my aunt, she's overlooking the operations. So she wasn't expecting to do that, but with COVID, here we are.
So that's interesting for those of us, because like my audience, right? Most of them work for hotels. They're not developers. They're not, owners, operators. So they may work at a Fairfield, but you mentioned that it's tough to get into Marriott. Tell me a little bit about like, the barriers to entry, if and kind of what your family was doing prior, and like what is the significance of this for your family?
So to try and get a Marriott franchise, and it's like the same with Hilton too, it's very difficult. Like if you try to go get like a franchise for like a Super 8 or Days Inn or something else, it would be much easier than it is for a Marriott or Hilton, because their standards are just they have very high standards. And so what they look for particularly is your experience, right? Your experience as a developer, or and even when it comes down to the management of the property, like how many years have you managed a property? What was your scoring like? Like, were you a good management company? Things like that. So you have to have like a track record. And so not a lot of people can break into that. It takes some time. So what we did was with my aunt's management company, PICA, they've helped break us into that because they also managed IHG properties. So that track record was built through the management and that development side of it. And so then that's how my family was able to get into as like from an investor perspective.
Gotcha. So would you say it's kind of in maybe in order of like easiest to hardest to get into? Would it be kind of like, Choice Wyndham, then maybe IHG, and then like Hilton's Marriott? Like, how would you, for somebody who doesn't know, how would you kind of break that down to them?
I would break down Marriott and Hilton as the top hardest big brands to break into. And then below that, IHG. Below that, I would say Wyndham, depending on like which brand you want, because they do have different like scale levels of their brands. Like they have like their mid scales, and now they're getting into like the higher end space. And then after Wyndham, Choice, and then Red Roof. I think Choice and Red Roof would be like neck and neck in like G6.
Gotcha.
But you still need to have like a track record, right? Like you got to have something that like backs up what you can bring to the table. So like just getting a franchise agreement is hard in general, but some companies are a bit harder than others.
Yeah. So this was just like the collective effort of like probably what has been decades of experience for your family now leading up to this. They finally were approved franchisees for Marriott, and who knows what that could break into. Like maybe now that means that they can do more and more of these Marriotts, or they can do Hiltons now, and their empire of hotels can grow from there. Do you take any like responsibility? Like, is that why you kind of came back to work with them? Or like for you personally, has it been significant to be a part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I had started Neem Hospitality, I had done it right before the pandemic hit. And I was going to develop my own first property, which is going to be a Scottish Inn. And so that's why I decided to, start Neem and stuff. But I knew that it was going to take some time to get like the groundbreaking stuff going. And so then when I heard about that I was being asked to come on board for the Fairfield, I was like, what better way for me to give back than to ensure that like I'm putting in effort to make sure this hotel is positioned for success. Because the thing about the greater Houston market is that it's very oversaturated with hotels and particularly branded properties. And I think that we were, just given where we are in our location, there isn't much corporate demand. So I've known this market because we've had our super year. So I said, for sure, like I'll come on, and if any effort I put forth will help make sure that we can like ramp up successfully, then I'll do it. So it meant a lot because I've seen my family and my grandparents like struggle and, work from like independent to like economy level hotels. And so this is just, I wish I had a better way to explain it, but it's very surreal.
I mean, congratulations to you and the family, because it's not just an overnight success story. Like this is years and years of living in the hotels, working 24/7. Your night auditor calls off, that's you. Your housekeepers call off, that's you. Like literally the epitome of grinding for decades has led you guys to be able to open this hotel. And so much so that you actually put your own company on hold to help out. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Basically, yeah. Yeah. I mean, Neem is still going. Like I still had like, anything, like if you'll go on my website and stuff, you'll see that's still under construction, and that it's like you'll see, right? But yeah, I put it on hold a little bit to focus on this in the beginning. And then in the meantime, I was still trying to like get financing and stuff, get my permitting and stuff for my Scottish Inn that we're supposed to break ground that year, but then didn't, which we finally did in January. So Neem is back. What I took with Neem though is I decided to experiment a little bit with what I was doing with the marketing for Fairfield and add like a consultancy component to it, to see if maybe that's something that I can, branch off to, in the future. So I try to pivot if I could.
So Wait, so you saying that you hired a consultant to manage the marketing, or
No, no, no,
you're
no, no.
kind of
Like,
starting that yourself? Like you could be the marketing consultant, kind of not necessarily like you're doing it, but it's not you. It's like Neem Tree that's doing it, so to
yeah,
speak.
yeah. Like add like a
Smart.
like a consultancy component to it. Because what I would love to do, like I love hospitality design, so I would love to have like a design component to the company. So it'd be like development and management, design, and then maybe like consultancy. So I mean, the basic thing is just development and management, but I'm always looking for other ways to kind of, I guess, vamp that up in like 10 years, 5 or 10 years.
So Scottish Inn, is that a branded property or is this an independent? Like I've never heard of Scottish Inn before. What can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, it's more of like in this part of the country. So it's one of the brands under Hospitality International, and they focus on economy budget level hotels. And so Scottish Inn is one of them. So it's I really don't know how else. They're all like small properties, like Budget Host, I think is one of them. And if you look on their website, like you'll see it's very like low key.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna look into it because I haven't seen them around here, but I'm in Chicago, so I
It's not
probably
gonna
would.
be.
Yeah.
But like it's so funny because like for me, like I think of Scottish Inn as kind of like coming full circle in a way because after we open, hopefully in September, my fiance and I we're gonna like live and run that place. So it's like it's all coming full circle. And then it's like and earlier you had said that a lot of people when they think of like that stereotype of like Indians and motels, they think of it as like dirty and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I disagree. So this is my challenge to like, I guess, debunk that myth. So I'm excited to do that.
That's awesome. Has your fiance had a background in hotels, or are you kind of like introducing him along the way, kind of as it's like a package deal now?
He also has a background. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I think like I'm so excited. I actually want to come and stay there once it opens now because just number one, Scottish Inn, got to try it out. Number two, because this is like your baby now. This is your project. Um, and so just like your family has done where they've started out by living in their hotels and then they've grown it now to where they have their own Fairfield, which is kind of, obviously a breakthrough moment. You're kind of starting from scratch now and doing your own thing. Why not just help build your family's company? Did you ever consider that?
Um, I didn't want to. So if we're being honest here, I'll be completely honest. So I did think about that when I was thinking about leaving DoubleTree, I thought about that. Like, okay, maybe now I can like come back and, help out in this sense with my family and build, their investment portfolio, whatever. And I came back, I became the GM for the Super 8 that we still had. And I was still working with my dad, my family, and it sucked. It was awful. I hated it because I was like, I'm a GM. Like, I shouldn't have to ask you if I can like buy this, this order of toilet paper, like let me just buy
Right.
this stuff. So it was a lot of oversight. And that's typically what happens, right? Like when as like in family businesses, whenever the kid tries to come along, the parent is always going to be like, no, 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 no. Like I need to prove everything. And so I did it. And then I left. I got fed up and I left. And then I worked for a consulting firm. I was there for a year. And then after a year, I decided that, like I'll come back, but I want to come back on my own terms. So I'll have my company, I'll still help out. I'll still like have like help them build their investment portfolio if that's what they want to do, but it will be under me. Like it'll be my shots that are being called. So yeah, that's how that journey has been so far. And with Scottish Inn, that is in partnership with my parents. So
Oh, so that's great. So like, I mean, and if this is just asking too much, you can let me know. But because I think this is something that I read in the book, Life Behind the Lobby, and just something that as I've talked to more and more people, this way like, it's kind of like if you don't have, you know, $2-3 million to invest into a hotel, it's kind of your family will help. It's kind of like these sweat equity deals. Is this similar to what you're doing, because you're going to be living in the hotel, running it, because you're going to be managing it and doing all that? It's for your other family members to invest. They can help you put the down payment down, help you secure financing, and then your equity will come from the work that you're doing. Is that kind of how it's working?
My equity took a really long time to get. So my equity is like a mix of things. My parents have their own equity, and then my fiance is gonna have his own too. So we all kind of like have our own little, like, I guess, slice of the pie. But I don't know if that answers your question. Like, but typically what you said is right. Like,
Yeah.
you know, parents will come and, you know, like for generational businesses, that is typically what happens. Absolutely. I tried to avoid doing that as long as I could. So that's why with like Scottish Inn, you know, it's my equity. I mean, I'm not like, I'll be honest, like it's not like the thing is 100% mine at all. No, it's not. Like I got a little piece of the pie, but it's my pie. You know, it's my effort that I put into it.
So, is your equity coming from like money that you've saved? Is it coming more so from the management that you're doing? Like, cause I'm just trying to like convert it back like to a lot of things that a lot of people know about, like a management company, right? Like your mainstream management companies, they will work at the hotel on behalf of owners, and they'll get maybe 3% of revenue as a base fee, and then maybe they'll get an incentive fee on top of that. But for an owner operator situation, like, I guess what I'm wondering is, for those who don't know, myself included, how does that work in terms of the management, the ownership, the equity? Like, how do you actually kind of stack that capital, if you will, and make that happen? Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah, I'll try and answer that because for us, it's a little bit, I guess, it's not typically what I used to hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is, so you can have like a management partnership, right? Like where someone has like X%, and then they can just like work, their equity is the management piece, you know, and they can borrow money, and then whatever they make while they're managing, like they can also pay off whatever that is. And then there's also where you can just put on like full on cash equity or from your bank, right? For me specifically, I want to get financed by a bank. And unfortunately, because we're in a pandemic, I got denied. So I dipped into my savings accounts. I have my money. I have money that I saved up. And then I have money that like I borrowed from like, you know, friends and family that I'm expecting to pay back. And then the management component, which is like me and my fiance, we're going to use that to like also pay back because we both borrowed money. So.
Gotcha. So you are getting more equity as a result of you actually running the hotel.
Yes. Yes.
That's good. That's good. So are you excited? Like, this could be opening here pretty soon. Like, how do you feel?
I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. I'm also, no, I'm not nervous. I'm just very excited. It's been a long time coming. It's something I've always wanted. I've always wanted like my own, you know, hotel, even though if it's not like 100% mine, I've always wanted like a piece of it, you know? And I didn't want it just like handed to me either. Like I wanted to be able to like work and be deserving of it. And I don't know. I mean, that's like a conversation for another day, but yeah, so I'm super excited that now I can do this. I'm gonna have my dog with me. She's gonna be our guard dog. Technically she's my fiance's dog, but now she's mine. So, so she's like, I'm just excited to kind of like start this journey. I would have never wanted to be in, you know, they say don't be in business with like your spouse, and I 100% agree. But I think like Indian Americans have defied that. So we'll see. We'll see if I still have a husband by the end of it.
I think you will. You know what? Maybe it'll bring you guys closer together because you're going to be kind of, I mean, at least for you, I don't know about him, but this is like your dream. You're going to be living your dream out and having your own property. Even if it's not 100% yours, the day-to-day and managing it is all you. So this is really your time to shine. Like, if you haven't already proven yourself and just being the amazing hotelier that you are, like, this is your time to shine and to make it. Like, this is you. And you know, it's not as glamorous as owning a DoubleTree, but it's awesome, I think, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like you're really doing something great. And how old are you? Uh,
28.
28. So you're really young. You're doing this for real. Like, does your age play a role negatively, positively? What do you think? Like, do people ever say like, oh, she's too young, she can't do this, or ever heard that or anything like
I've
it?
heard that. Yeah, I've heard that plenty of times actually. That, it's like, oh, like you're too young, or, you're female. You got other things you got to take care of. Like one day you're going to get married and have kids and you got to cook and all that other nonsense. So like I've heard like things like that. But, I tend to look back at one time when my when my mom was like advising me against those bullies. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to not take no for an answer. So like the naysayers will say whatever they want, but like it's my life, and I got decisions I want to make because I don't want to look back and regret anything. I don't want to I don't want to have the regret that, oh, I made decisions that were influenced by someone else's opinions. So
Yeah, I think you'll be much happier as a result of making your decisions based on you and not other people. Do you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk?
I love him. I
Me
like
too.
idolize him. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's the reason why we do Hospitality MD in the first place. He's the one who inspired us to, like, you know, make content, stop caring about what other people think, don't let judgment get in your way. And we're like, okay, I guess we'll just start doing something. So I think, like, yeah, I mean, it's cool because he influenced us. It sounds like he's made an influence on you too.
Yeah, for sure. Cause like I think like one of the first talks I heard from him was he was like, I don't care if your mom said that you can't do this, or your dad or whatever, like, family. Cause a lot of times, I mean, like family will not really support you, right? And so, I mean, we've all heard that. So when I heard that talk, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do what I need to do. Screw you, dad. I'm gonna buy that box of toilet paper.
So you left like the Super 8, you left your dad's hotel after what sounds like a little bit of like a rough conflict or tension at least.
Yes. Yes.
Are you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but are you guys like good now?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, we're totally fine. I had left because I was just like I don't blame him. I really don't. Like, I can understand from his point of view, like where he was coming from. And so like, but I was just tired of being like micromanaged, and my dad doesn't know what micromanaging is. So so that's why I was just like, all right, dad, but like, I just gotta go do something else now. I'm sorry, but I still love you. But yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, I think you know, your success on your own, like, I mean, he's going to do what he's going to do anyway because it's his business. Now you get to do what you want to do because it's your business. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
So I guess before we wrap up, any advice to young hospitality professionals, to female hospitality professionals, to anybody who maybe just doesn't have it the easiest in this industry? What do you have to say to them?
I have to say, especially to the young ones, like I'm sorry that right now the world is just like in the way it is, because it's so bad for hospitality right now. But I do want you guys to know that's going to get better. I also advise that really focus on educating yourself in different skill sets, because when it comes down to like operations, like in management, like that's not the only way to go in hospitality. Like there are pathways to like going into like other segments. Like for example, like maybe if you have an affinity for technology, dabble in that. See how you can combine your love for hospitality with other things that you enjoy doing. And that also for women, I know that it's hard right now for us to break into this space, particularly, women of color, but our time is coming. I can feel it. So hang in there.
I really, really feel that. I'll talk to you about this off the record, but anyway, thank you, Tejal, for being on the show. I learned a lot from you. I'm super inspired. I hope that for everybody listening, you learned a thing or two about owner operator situation and just, starting your own business and all the different avenues you can take in hospitality, because I certainly did. So one last thing before we wrap up, where can our audience hear from you? Where can they find you? How can we all stay connected with you, Tejal?
I am big on LinkedIn, like just being on it. Now, I will be honest, I've been gotten really bad with looking at my messages, but I will get back to you in messages. So just reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'm more than happy to chat via there for sure.
Sweet. Okay. So we will put her LinkedIn profile in the show notes so everybody can tune in and see what she's up to. Thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I hope that you had fun. I hope that your listeners found value because your podcast is really amazing. Like I love the content you guys put out. So thank you for having me.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Hospitality MD and for enjoying Tejal's interview. Be sure to share it with someone you think will like it as well and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Remember, we do weekly live streams Fridays at 11 a.m. Central Time here on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. So connect with us on all of our socials. Find Tejal on LinkedIn as well to learn more about her and to stay connected. And remember to tune in next week for another episode. We'll see you soon. Stay hospitable, guys.